Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. Just invite you now to get into a comfortable position in your seat, to take a deep, refreshing and relaxing breath and just let go of all the busyness and all the hectic activity of your day. And for the next few moments, give yourself permission to relax and to get quiet and to do a bit of reflection. You know, this idea of a day of independence is a spiritual concept that has many different levels to it. It brings forth the idea of freedom, freedom to think, to be who you are, to worship in whatever way you choose, to believe what you want to believe. The freedom to prosper, to grow and to unfold, to choose a career of your own choosing, to interact with people of your own choosing. The freedom to not judge and to understand and to connect in ways that you've never deemed to be possible. We are so blessed. So again, I want to invite you to take a deep, refreshing breath and to sit back and relax for a few moments as you reflect and meditate on what this ideal of independence means for you. So just relax. And be still. So in loving gratitude for our nation, for our community, for our state, for our world, for all the blessings that touch our lives in myriad ways. Today, we say thank you, God. And so it is. Amen.
Morning again, everyone. And shout out to everybody who watches us online, and especially Eileen, who watches us in Yuma, and Patricia, who watches us in West Virginia. Ladies, thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks for emails as well. Glad you're part of the ministry. So there was a small town with these two brothers. They were rich and powerful businessmen, and everybody knew that they did some questionable business practices. They cheated, they lied, they intimidated, they even abused some of the people they did business with. And everyone knew it. So one day, one of the brothers mysteriously died. And even though they didn't go to church, the other brother came to the local pastor and said, I want you to do the funeral. And if you do the funeral, I will give you $1 million for the church. But you must say that my brother was a saint. So the pastor was a little troubled by this request. You know, the church was poor, it needed a lot of repairs, and they could have used that money to support families. So he didn't want to regret not taking this once-in-a-lifetime offer of $1 million, but he also didn't want to regret lying and not telling the truth. So he prayed about what to do. Some of the congregants found out about this dilemma, and they wondered what he'd do. So a couple days passed, and the funeral began. And the church was packed, and the pastor started, and he did some prayers and the usual rites that are a part of a funeral service, and then he began the eulogy. And everyone leaned in to hear what the pastor would say. And he said, as you all know, the departed was a horrible, horrible man. He was a despicable individual who lied and cheated, intimidated, and abused countless people in our community. But compared to his brother, he was a saint. So, all right. So today we're talking about regrets, and I want to make sure I didn't tell a joke I didn't regret. And so how many people here have ever made a bad decision, maybe entered a relationship you knew that wasn't going to be good, or made an investment where you lost, or you missed an opportunity, made a bad decision that you wish you'd never made? Anybody ever have one of those? Okay. How many people have ever said something kind of mean and dishonoring of someone that you really love that you wish you could take back? Anybody ever say? And so how many people here have some regret that you have from years and years ago, but when you think about it even today, it still gets you upset? Anybody have one of those long-standing ones? See, every human being, everyone has regrets. Things we wish we didn't say, things we wish we didn't do, things we wish we could change, things we wish that were different, things we wish were better. So I've been reading a great book by Bonnie Wade called The 5 Top Regrets of the Dying. And she was in a situation where she needed a job, and she became a living companion for an elderly person. And she did it over and over again. Then she entered a palliative care program and did this for countless people. And what she found, and it was a lot of one-on-one time, and people would share about their lives. They would look back and share all kinds of memories. And amazingly, what she found was a pattern of people sharing all kinds of regrets. You know, why didn't I follow my heart? Why didn't I know to do what I knew was the right thing to do? Why did I wait so long? Why didn't I have the courage to stand up for myself? Why is it, that I just allowed my own desires to be put second in my life? And now it's too late. And now it's too late. And so she began compiling all these different regrets. And what she noticed, that there were certain patterns that people had. And that the number one regret that people who were dying had was the regret that I wish I had the courage to live a life that was true to myself and not the one that people expected of me. And I always find that interesting. Why is it that it's so common that many of us don't live the life that we really want to live? Why is it that we deny our own desires and aren't true to the life that we want to live? Why are we doing jobs? Why are we in relationships? Why are we in situations where we know isn't honoring the truth of who we are? You know, this 4th of July weekend, and I was going to do a talk on freedom, like we normally do, and I wasn't going to do this particular talk, and then the more I looked at the idea of freedom, I realized this is the perfect talk. Because the fact is, we have the freedom to choose the kind of life we want. We have been given unalienable rights that include life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We have the freedom to choose and to create a life that is happy and that is great, and yet we don't always use this freedom to choose the kind of life that we want to live. And the question is, why? Why don't we honor the life that we are here to live and do the things we really want to do that are in our hearts? And here are a couple of reasons. In the book, she says the number one reason is that we allow the opinions of other people, the expectations of other people, the beliefs of other people to control what we do. That we will often do things to please other people, or for their approval, for them to like us, to respect us. We will sometimes, dress the way we think we should look, or behave the way we think we should, not necessarily what is really true to ourselves. Often we will put someone's feelings ahead of ours and deny our own truth, our own feelings, and to make someone else feel better. The second one is, I think, what's even more important. She doesn't mention this in the book, but I think this is the truth of why we don't always honor and hold back ourselves from doing what we want. And that is, I think we use other people as an excuse to prevent us from accepting full responsibility for our own lives. I think accepting 100% responsibility scares us. And it's good to hide behind, hey, I'm doing it for them. It's because of them. Because it scares us at some level. Responsibility isn't a punishment or a burden. It is actually one of the most liberating and empowering things to know that I am fully responsible for my life. That is a powerful thing, even though we allow it to scare us. I am 100% responsible for my life. Let's say that together. I am 100% responsible for my life. I'm 100% responsible for my feelings. I am 100% responsible for my feelings. I am 100% responsible for my actions. I am 100% responsible for my actions. I am 100% responsible for my life. Together, I am 100% responsible. And that's the truth. We got to accept full responsibility for our lives. And then the final reason I think we hold back and don't live the life we want is fear. And the greatest of that fear is, am I really good enough to achieve, and am I really capable of achieving my goals and dreams? Because what if I do it and I fail? What if I go after it and I look foolish? What if I go after it and I get hurt? What if I mess it up? What if my life becomes worse than it is now? And if I end up all alone? These are just some of the main reasons why it is that we don't always live the life that we really want to live. And tonight we're talking about regrets, but we're also specifically talking about regrets of the dying. And I just want to make a few comments that Bruni Wade talks about. She said, in our culture, we don't like talking about death. We like to pretend it doesn't exist. We kind of have the philosophy of Woody Allen, who once said, it's not that I'm afraid of dying, it's just I don't want to be there when it happens. And so I think that kind of sums up how we feel about death. It's like, hey, we don't want to talk about it, we don't want to go there. But here's what she said. She said, denying death is not a good thing. Here's why. She says, because it leaves both the person dying and the family and friends totally unprepared to handle what is inevitable. That by avoiding it, that it is even scarier and more shocking. That you said by talking about it, two important things happen about talking about dying and death. One, it actually makes it, instead of just a scary, painful experience, which there's grief and sadness, she said it could actually become a healing experience and a sacred experience for individuals and families if we were more open about it. And secondly, is that if we were to talk more openly about dying, our own death, and the death of others around us, it would actually help us to make a choice of saying, am I really living the life that I want to live? And to be able to choose better how we live. Talking about dying can actually help us choose to live our lives in a better way. Here's what she says. If we are able to face our own inevitable death with honest acceptance, before we reach that time, we can shift our priorities before it's too late. It gives us the opportunity to put our energy into directions of true value and the opportunity for a greater sense of purpose and satisfaction in the time we have left. You know, Jesus said he came that we may have life and have it more abundantly, and we're supposed to live our lives abundantly, joyously, freely, and lovingly, open-heartedly. But instead, we often live our lives fearfully, cautiously, tentatively, and anxiously, and that is not how we are supposed to live. Today we are looking at the first regret of the dying, and that is, I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself, not what people expected of me. I wish I had the courage. E. Cummings says, it takes courage to grow up to become who you really are. So what is the courage we need to have to live a life true to ourselves? The first one is we have to have the courage to make peace and find acceptance with right where we are. You know, I'm sure every one of us have had some regrets and said words kind of like this. Why did I do that? Why did I say that? Why wasn't I strong enough to speak up for myself? Why did I wait all these years to finally start listening to myself? Why have I allowed the opinions of others to rule how I behave and what I wanted? I should have known better. I should have done better. I messed up and wasted so much of my life. Every one of us has regrets. But one of the things we all particularly don't do well, besides having regrets, is not handling our regrets well. The first thing we tend to do with regrets is blame ourselves, beat up ourselves, be hard on ourselves, judge and condemn ourselves for not getting it right. Regret is a combination of blame and wishing we were different, or wishing our lives were different, and neither one is a very healthy or effective thing to do. Bruni herself she called herself the black sheep of the family. She was a little bit odd, creative. She worked in the banking industry, but really didn't like it. She liked just being out in the wilderness by herself, throwing caution to the wind, not knowing where her money was coming from or her next meal, and she loved it and thrived on it. Even though people judged her and criticized her and thought she was kind of crazy, you know, she found herself trying to live this way and yet feeling turmoil inside and regret about how she was living. So one time she was on the beach, just at a point where she felt lost, alone, and wondering who she really was, you know, feeling like she just didn't fit in and didn't know what to do. And she said, as I watched the high tide wash back out, I remembered the importance of surrender, of letting go, and allowing nature to weave its magic. The same force that balances the flow of the tides, the force that sees the seasons come and go perfectly, and creates life, was surely capable of bringing me the opportunity that I needed. But I know the first thing I had to do was let go. With all the regrets we have had in the past, the most powerful thing we can do to help ourselves is to find a place of peace and acceptance. Acceptance is about being honest and compassionate and letting go of the past. Letting go of the pain, letting go of the attachment of how it should be, what we should have done, and just find a place of peace to be present to where we are now. To be right where we are right here and now. And wherever we are now, which is, we might be unemployed, or we might be a bit overweight, or we might not have had a date in 3 years, or we might be successful in work but feeling empty inside emotionally and spiritually. Maybe it's a time where we're in grief and loss and we know it's time for therapy, but it's to find peace right here and now where we are. You know, like peace and acceptance sounds like it's soft. You know, we should really be fighting against things, but the truth is sometimes we need to stop fighting against things. The only way to move forward with life is to find peace and acceptance right here and now, and to be at peace with everything that has got us up to this moment. So where in your life is it time for you to make peace? What regret or regrets in your life is it time for you to find a level of acceptance? And just find honesty and compassion with yourself that you did the best you could, and this is where you are right here and now. Surrendering isn't giving up, it's giving way to peace. It's giving way to greater possibilities. It's giving way to a greater life being birthed through you instead of being stuck in the past or in regrets. Does this make sense, everyone? The first step is to make peace with yourself, to make peace with the past, and to make peace with your regrets. The second thing to do is have the courage to become soul selfish. I took that phrase from Jane Weicker, who's a member of our ministry. She and her husband, they live in Connecticut. They're snowbirds. She just wrote a book called Soul Selfish. And she said she's a perfect example of somebody who allowed her family and everyone in her life to guide her life her entire way. And she says what happens is when we try to please people so much and are so consumed with what other people will think of us, she said, and we keep denying ourselves, she said what eventually happens is we actually become disconnected with who we are. That we don't even know who we really are. We don't know our feelings. Anybody remember the book, the movie Runaway Bride? With Julia Roberts, remember? So when she had a boyfriend, and so if the boyfriend liked her eggs, his eggs over easy, she liked them over easy. If he liked them scrambled, she liked them scrambled. If she liked them hard, he liked them hard boiled, she liked them hard boiled. And once her friend said to her, "You don't even know what kind of eggs you like." And while that sounds kind of silly, sometimes we are so doing things for others and putting others first that we don't even know who we are and what we want and what the truth of our own nature is and our desire and our purpose is. And so what she calls soul selfish, which I think is a pretty cool word, she said that is to make a commitment to put your connection with your soul as the first and number one priority in your life. That taking time for you to nurture your spirit, reconnect with who you are, and get clear about what your soul is here to do, to connect with your higher self. And your true self is, she says, the most important thing you could do for yourself and others. Because she says, to be you and to be true to you requires that you must know you. And that takes time to sit in the silence, to feel our feelings, and to open our heart, and to reconnect with the truth of who we really are. And the more we're centered in the truth of who we are, the more conscious, the more clear, and the more connected we are in knowing why we are here, what we're about, what it is we desire, and we can begin to move forward in life in a healthier and more effective way. First one is to choose to make peace and find acceptance with where we are and our regrets. Second is to become soul selfish and to reconnect and make it a priority for us to nurture our own spirit and be clear of who we are. And then the third is to have the courage to be bold. Sometimes you got to be bold and try something new and move in a new direction and step out of our box. The fourth reason that I didn't mention earlier, the reason that we don't always pursue our goals is because many of us get into a comfort zone where we just like to play it safe. That we don't like to step out of our box. We get caught in the same routine. We don't take a chance. We don't risk. We don't reach out because we just want to play it safe. We never want to take a chance. Wayne Gretzky once said, "You will never miss 100% of the shots you never take." You'll never miss one you don't take. And the fact is, somebody once said that life is either expanding or contracting. And sometimes we become very insular. Let me give you an example about, caught in our routine that we stay in our box. Let me give you an example. I work at 16th and Greenway. I live at 20th and Greenway. I shop at 7th and Greenway. I am starting more and more to shop online and have everything just delivered to my house. And I'm even excited the Fry is coming to Bell and 14th, so I don't have to go all the way to 7th. So now I could be even in a smaller bubble. How many people ever get caught in a routine and get in the same box and you're almost afraid to step out of it? Anybody other than me? Okay, 4 of us. Great. People always think, oh, I'm so daring and adventurous. The reason I try skydiving and rock climbing, and stand-up comedy and golf and all these other things is because there's a part of me that knows I need to stretch and step out of my comfort zone. That it's easy to get into a routine and get stuck. And sometimes a stretch requires you got to be bold. So the new things on my list is going to do archery, I'm going to try pottery, and I'm going to take singing lessons again. Even though someone in the front row this morning told me I don't have a good voice and I probably shouldn't do that, I won't say who that person is. but he often goes off-road of the notes of the announcement. I just want to say. Yeah, I'm not a good singer. I got. So my question is, in your life, where is it time for you to stretch? Where is it time for you to be bold? Somebody once said, if you always do what you always done, you'll always get what you always got. You know, if you look at your life, are you in a place of contracting or are you in a place of expanding? You know the word heaven, it means expansion. To experience heaven is about expanding your faith, expanding your joy, expanding your awareness, and expanding you reaching out in life that you didn't always dare or risk. So back to Jane for a second. So in her life, she always played it safe, always did what people said, but after a while, you know, she realized she needed to be bold. She needed to, you know, stand firm in who she was and take those bold actions. And I'll tell you, she has created an amazing life. She had a 29-year counseling a career. She has done all kinds of corporate training and empowering for women. She has attracted the man of her dreams. They have an amazing relationship. She just finished a book she wanted to write for 10 years. Just finish it. She said it's so amazing. People are calling her and writing her that her story is inspiring them and liberating them. She feels so good, on top of her game. My favorite part is she's 80 years old. She looks phenomenal. She looks like she's 50. I mean, she's incredible. And the point I want to make is that when you are bold, it will change your life. Things will shift and move when you step out of your comfort zone and do something boldly that is true to who you are. That it will change your life. And the reason I mentioned that she's 80, which at any age, that's inspiring. It's more inspiring 80 because the message is it's never too late. Wherever you are in your life, whatever age or stage, your life is calling you to be bold, to step out, to touch, to inspire, to reach out, to make a difference. She said that her boldness not only healed her and attracted the things she wants, but now it's inspiring other people and liberating them to not be trapped by their regrets and what other people think. It's never too late. Grandma Moses started painting at 78, painted all the way to 101. Nelson Mandela became the president of his country at 76. And Colonel Sanders at the young age of 66 compared to all the other ones. That's when he got his Kentucky Fried recipe. It is never too late. My question for you is, where in your life do you know it's time for you to be bold? Where in your life is it calling you to make a change? Where in your life is calling you to do something different? Where in your life is telling you to take a bold action? Where in your life is it saying that it's time for you to let go of a particular thing? Where in your life is it time for you to start something new? Where in your life is it time for you to be bold? William Murray said, boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. If you want something, just begin it. Regrets. Every one of us has regrets. And when we look at the regrets of the dying, it can truly help us in our living. This is the 4th of July weekend, freedom we're celebrating. So let's use our freedom to choose, to make peace with our regrets in our past and find acceptance of who we are and where we are right now. Let us choose to become soul selfish and put your nurturing of your spirit as number one in your life and take time to spend with it to get clear of who you really are, and then choose to be bold and take that daring action because it will move your life in a great ways. When you have courage to become who you are, you will live the life and be the person that you have come here to be. Happy 4th of July, everybody. God bless you.